Hi, hello, good morning, my young officers. Welcome to this YouTube channel called as Unacademy UPSC Articulate YouTube channel. So this is Nisha Nujumudeen, your educated Unacademy, an expert in Indian economy, current affairs and MCQs. So here we are with another interesting current topics and news for the day, which is exclusively useful for the UPSC CSE examination. Be it prelims, be it mains, be it interview point of view. Multiple topics like this will add a lot of value to your preparation. So now this is exclusively a Sunday special series, guys. So normally the current topics and news which I handle will be live at 6 a.m. in the morning. That's the time when I normally go live. But then today being Sunday, आज Sunday है ना, थोड़ा सा difference I thought I should bring it out. So that is why at 11:15 to 11:30 we are going live, and this is a special series, okay, where we'll be discussing on the topic based on IR, that is international relations, and the very recent trending topic that is going on, which is none other than the 2+2 ministerial dialogue. We know that our country India has a lot of relationships with every other countries, a good bilateral relations, a good partnership for various defense purpose, for various other economic and social development perspectives and all. Now, if you see among the Quad, I repeat, the quadrilateral framework or relations of the countries that we are in, we have taken, or let's say we are having a very good association with Australia. So now for the very first time, our country India has gone for a 2+2 ministerial dialogue with Australia. So now this is indeed a very interesting topic. Why? Because it is not like India is having a relationship with Australia for the first time, anything as such. But then there's something called as 2+2 ministerial dialogue. It is for the very first time India is doing with Australia. And now India, Australia being a part of the so-called framework, that is quadrilateral framework, along with US and Japan. These four countries form a framework together called as Quad framework or quadrilateral framework exercise. In spite of that, why did only India, Australia come out and have such kind of 2+2 ministerial dialogue is a question. It doesn't mean that India, Japan, India, US never had such kind of bilateral relations. They do have. But after the formation of Quad and the functioning of these four countries together in the Quad perspective, why this? Is it going to benefit both the countries? And most importantly, the so-called association that these countries are having in the Quad framework, will that be affected? So do you think such kind of 2+2 ministerial dialogue between the country India and Australia could lead to the rise or the fall of the so-called Quad partnership, where two other countries like USA and Japan is also part of it? What do you think? So it's high time that you're going to express your viewpoints on this sensitive, controversial topic of the day. So you can put forward your viewpoints, and I'm here to tell you from both the dimensions, the pros, the cons, and also the way forward. And now from that, you will get to understand exactly what is this Quad partnership all about and why India, Australia now with the so-called 2+2 ministerial dialogue. Clear? So yes, good morning, crazy boy, and yes, SK. Good morning. Hi, Paras. Yes, Wolfish. Good morning. Yeah, my throat was not well, guys, due to which, I couldn't take the 6 a.m. Normally, this happens at 6 a.m. You all know that. But then being Sunday again, I thought, chalo, it's okay. And let us, carry it forward at 11:30 a.m. also. So you'll also be a little bit relaxed because it's Sunday. I know that people will not get up so early in the morning, but that's fine. Anyways. So yes, Ayush, good morning. So now before that, guys, a quick look into what are the other schedules of my series is. Those have missed out the previous topics of this particular series, we can just go through since Jan 10, 2022. The current topics in news session is going on and live at damn 6 a.m. in the morning. Believe me. So we have covered multiple important hit list topics from various subjects. You can just see, guys, which are the topics that we have covered. If you see on 10th of Jan, we had a topic from Indian economy, that is Monetary Policy Committee. Then the most hit list topic was from governance and social justice, that is raising the marriage age of women to 21. Is it a need or a curse? Then your DGP, that is digital public good, which is an inevitable, attribute to the future. Then blockchain beyond cryptocurrencies to transform the education sector. Is it a need or a necessity? That was another topic. And then we had a topic from environment based on carbon neutrality, India's target net emission zero. Is India in the right path? That was another question. Followed by income inequality, guys. Income inequality of India. What do you think? Where do we stand exactly? So all these are the multiple topics that we discussed the other day. Clear? So India's income inequalities, the cold truth, that was the topic, guys. Do you really agree? So these were the topics that we discussed, followed by today, India, Australia's first 2+2 dialogue from the area international relations. And now, is this really going to affect the Quad partnership? Because we have 2 more other countries put out. Don't you think so? Yes, yes. Crazy, is it Soham with a different name? Acha, yes, Sudhir. Yes, Ayush, good morning. Yes, Hari. So multiple people have a lot of, questions and doubts popping up in your brain with regard to this particular topic. But that is okay, guys. We are here to make it more simplified by making this discussion more active and enthusiastic. And now when the clock strikes 6 a.m. in the morning from tomorrow onwards, again, Monday to Friday, you will have the so-called current affairs, current topics in news. And at 6 p.m. in the Unacademy free special live class, you will be having the so-called, free special live class wherein UPSC level MCQs will be discussed. Clear? So do not miss those sessions. Make sure that you're coming for those sessions with a lot of Josh. Clear? So before starting the class, as always, we should start a class with an amazing motivational quote of the day. Don't you think so, guys? Yes or no? Yes, indeed, very important. So now, here is an amazing motivational quote of the day to start your day with. It's very easy to give example, but it's very difficult to become an example. That's a very reality, because you all can give examples. Be like that, be like this, do like this, do like this to become an IAS officer. But to be an example requires a lot of patience, a lot of hard work, and load of perseverance within yourself. So that's a great morning for all of you. Have your day keeping this in mind. And I want all of you to set your record of being an example for the upcoming generations to, come. For that, you got to really make sure that your name has been registered in the Indian bureaucracy, wherein you are really going to contribute to the growth and development of your country, India. Clear? Perfect. Yes, Surendra, good morning to you as well. Perfect. So here we go, my young officers, without wasting much of time. Let's quickly have a look into why are we going to study this amazing topic. So as I told you, from the area international relations, we have this India Australia's first 2+2 ministerial dialogue or topic. So now, why was this topic brought in? What is the reason why we are studying this? The context is recently the Ministry of External Affairs, or let's say the foreign and the defense ministers of our country, India and Australia, for the very first time, what do they do? In New Delhi, they held the so-called India-Australia 2+2 ministerial dialogue. And this is an inaugural dialogue, I can tell you. Dialogue matlab a kind of partnership. Dialogue means not your film wala or drama wala or serial wala dialogue. Not that dialogue. It's a kind of association or partnership which we are putting or using the word called as dialogue here. Okay. So now this inaugural dialogue, okay, it was basically held in pursuant for what? To the elevation, or let's say to increase the so-called bilateral. Bilateral means when 2 countries are entering into a contract or partnership, it is called as bilateral. So basically to boost up the bilateral relationship between India and Australia only, this particular inaugural dialogue was brought in. And this is exclusively to strengthen the comprehensive strategic partnership between the countries India and Australia, and that happened virtually, or let's say online. So this happened during the India-Australia Leaders Virtual Summit in the year 2021. Clear? So now, this is the reason why you are studying this particular topic here. Clear? Did you understand, all of you? Now, do you think such kind of ministerial dialogue with Australia and India could affect the Quad partnership or relationship? For that, you should know what is a 2+2 ministerial dialogue, what is the Quad partnership. A quick look in the background of this will enable you to have a very good idea regarding whether this is going to benefit India, Australia. Of course, it will. But what could be the future, or what could be the further perspectives of the Quad partnership, where India, Australia, Japan, US is a part of it? Could it be a rise of all of them when there is a partition, or when there is a kind of bifurcation among the countries? Because all the 4 countries should stand together. Why only these 2 countries has come out with the new so-called dialogue? So that is a big question mark to be answered. So providing the answers to all these questions to your brains, this particular session will do the needful for you people. Clear? And you will be able to come to conclusion whether this is good or this is not bad. That's the whole point out here. Yes, Surendra. Thanks, madam. I was looking for pure English category class category news. Thanks. Surendra, you can come at 6 a.m. in the morning every day. When the clock strikes 6, come to the same YouTube channel. I do the same current topics in news every morning 6 a.m. And since it is Sunday, it is a special series that is going on at 11:30. Clear? And 6 p.m. in the YouTube, in the Unacademy free platform also, I do a MCQ class. You can come there. My sessions are only in English. Maybe in between I can talk to you in Hindi, but then it's purely English, me being a South Indian, let me tell you that. Anyways, yes, Shilpa, good morning. Here we go. Before going to the further details of this particular topic, you should know what is this 2 plus 2 dialogue, or what is this 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogue. It's very important for you to know that. If you see, not only with Australia, even with Russia, our country, India had a 2 plus 2 dialogue. Basically, it's a mechanism, guys, in which the strategic and security interest of countries, they are discussed by the so-called designated ministers. The ministers of both the countries, what they'll do is they'll come and discuss, okay, this is how the country's so and so area should function or work. So when they come and enter into a partnership, that's called as 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogue. Let's say, for example, if it is between India and Australia, the ministers of India or the ministers of Australia, the so-called representative head, okay, the PM, they will enter into a partnership where they'll discuss on the various perspectives and agendas to be followed in the development of one particular sector. It could be defense, it could be economic, it could be social perspective. So that is called as the 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogue for the betterment of both the countries. Clear? And how can they take it forward with a joint cooperation? That's called as 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogue. Did you understand? And why do you think such kind of 2 plus 2 dialogue should be important? Because it is helping both the countries who are in it to really expand their scope of cooperation and establish a very strong tie between them. Did you understand? And currently, if you see, India has 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogue, as I told you, with the members of Quad, US, Japan, and Australia. And now India is also working on to establish a similar dialogue with Russia. And now currently in the context of Australia, this so-called topic has been brought in. Okay? And now with regard to Quad, what is Quad, guys? A strategic alliance, or let's say partnership between 4 countries, US, Japan, Australia, India. So more details about Quad and the objectives of Quad will also be taught to you as in, when the session is proceeding, because that is also very important. Yeah. So thus, with regard to the India-Australia association, the first association, I can tell you, in the context of 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogue, it is the highest level of institutional mechanism between these 2 countries. So in this meeting, the defense being the most important sector for any country. So basically to improve the defense sector, now the defense and the foreign members, okay, of both countries, they will collaborate and meet. So then they'll be able to discuss all the issues working for the mutual benefit of both the countries, for the peace, harmony and prosperity, and also for the development, for the co-development of both countries, taking into consideration the global objectives. Clear? That is why this 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogue has been brought in. Not only India, Australia, be it any countries, guys, India, Russia, India, Japan, whichever country also, the main objective of such kind of 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogue will be the same. Got it? But here we are constraining, or let's say we are focusing more on the India-Australia so-called partnership or relationship. That is what you should understand as well. Clear? Yes, Virendra, respected madam, is there any Telegram channel so that we students will get notification? Of course, we have. Nisha Nujumudeen for UPSC. Go to Google, type it out. What you do is, the same session, current topics in news, in the playlist of Unacademy, same channel, you will find it. Go and watch the very first video. You can get all the details there. Today at 6 p.m. you come for the Unacademy's app, free special live class. Download the app. Use the code Nisha IAS Live. Be it free class or plus class, if you want to watch my sessions and to download the content for free, use this code Nisha IAS Live, which you can see below the every single slide. And there you can watch the MCQ classes in the app. And on top of every class, I'll pin the Telegram channel link. So click there, you automatically get notifications. Did you understand? Perfect. So now, along with Australia, India also has such kind of ministerial talks with Japan, USA, apart from Australia as well. So now you see that Japan and USA, India has a very good relationship for a long time, guys. So in the so-called Quad or quadrilateral framework between India, USA, Japan, Australia, Australia was joined lately as per the recommendations or let's say the persuasion of India. India is the one who said to Japan and US, come on, let's involve Australia to the Quad framework. And now when Australia joined, what did India do? Very smart game we played. Already we have very good association and ministerial dialogues with Japan and USA. It's time for us to have such kind of association with Australia. So nicely India caught hold of that. Did you understand? And if you see, be it USA, be it Japan, be it India, be it Australia, all these countries' single enemy, or let's say the single motto is nothing but to end the Chinese superpower. It's against China. So there is a huge cold war among all these countries, guys, towards China. Especially in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, it is actually aggravated because they all know that, just like a Mahabharat, guys, you have Pandavas, you have Kauravas, and you have Shaguni, because Pandava and Kaurava will not have an issue like India, Pakistan. Take care. So because the same family got divided, so does India, Pakistan. Okay, like the same family we got divided, but then Who is triggering the issue? Shagni. Similarly, China is doing that. And that's why always we do have issues. So similarly, in the Quad framework, okay, all of these countries, including USA and Japan and all, they wanted Australia to come because they want to strengthen their power. Most importantly, it is a diplomatic idea of our country, India, because we knew that being a developing economy, we need the support of all the developed countries to form a great strength so we can fight back to China in a holistic approach. So India is gathering power. That is what India is doing. So smart, na? That's a kudos to our country, India, guys, for being so diplomatic. When the country's top politicians, or let's say the top authority itself, is so diplomatic, why don't the citizens be like that? And especially you people who is going to be the upcoming future IAS, IPS, IRS officers, you got to really follow the strategic method. That's very important. That is an officer kind quality, guys, which you should exercise with a lot of maturity. Clear? Perfect. So now, this so-called dialogue, why this topic is like India-Australia ka 2+2 dialogue. Will this be a rise or a fall in the Quad partnership? Why I gave that statement? Because this ministerial dialogue between the country and Australia, it used to be held at a secretary level. But this time, they conducted it at a ministerial level. So now why suddenly from the secretary level, why did they jump to the ministerial level? What could be the reason? Why was Japan and USA ignored in that time? Because these two countries are also part of Quad. So multiple questions like this popped up into the brains of the citizens, or let's say the people out there. So we are going to find answers or solutions to this topic today. Did you understand? Perfect. Now, what are the key points? Now, having understood the background, or let's say a notion regarding the so-called 2+2 ministerial dialogue between India and Aussies, that is Australia, what were the key points? Point number one, from the secretary level to the ministerial level, for the first time when India-Australia went for this ministerial dialogue, 2+2 dialogue, one was they had a huge focus on the Indo-Pacific area. Why? Why Indo-Pacific? Very simple. We focus more on the maritime perspective. We focus more on the defense perspective. And now, Indo-Pacific means we need to make sure that in the Indo-Pacific region, our country, India, has to maintain an open, free, prosperous and rule-based Indo-Pacific region. And that should be in lieu with the existing UNCLOS. What is that? United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea. A very, very important, hit list keyword for the UPSC Prelims. You can consider the following statements based on this also. And the next related, keyword or current topic using the method of interengaging, which should come to your brain, is maritime security. Did you understand? So these are multiple keywords, guys, where different questions can also be framed out. So apply the method of interengaging while you study current affairs, because there is no need for you to by heart. Rather, things will automatically come to your brains. That is the beauty of it. Take care. And now, the second thing is, they want to support India's Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative is already there. So now, due to this particular point, there was a need for the renewed efforts by the Quad member countries to expand cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. For that, what did they do? India had, such a kind of thought, and so India went ahead and chose Australia out of the Quad members to make sure that more focus on the Indo-Pacific region for such kind of purpose. One is to maintain an open and free and prosperous so-called, rule-based Indo-Pacific region, along with UNCLOS, and to support the India-Pacific Ocean Initiative. They went for the ministerial 2+2 dialogue. Clear? Now, the next point to be understood from this ministerial dialogue is they were focusing on an initiative called as Supply Chain Resilience Initiative. What is that all about, guys? If you see, Supply Chain Resilience Initiative is nothing but in order to work together through the multilateral, regional and plurilateral mechanisms. So then they'll be able to have a very good diversification of the supply chain between the trusted and reliable trading partners. So then with regard to the critical health, technology and other goods and service, they'll be able to carry forward the association smoothly without any sort of interruptions and other blockages. So keeping in mind this particular context, yes, so just be keeping in mind this particular context, what did India, Australia do? They welcomed the launch of an initiative called as Supply Chain Resilience Initiative. And that happened by the trade ministers of India, Australia and also Japan. You see, now Japan is coming into place. Though it is the 2+2 ministerial dialogue of India, Australia, for the Supply Chain Resilience Initiative, they even make sure that the Supply Chain Resilience Initiative is happening by the trade ministers of India, Australia plus Japan. And Japan is also a Quad member. So what about US? US is not brought in this. So there could be a reason for that also. You got the point. That is another important key point to understand. Next is keeping up with the momentum. So they said that such kind of 2+2 ministerial dialogue, both the countries, India, Australia, ministers, they decided to meet at least once every 2 years. Only then they'll be able to keep up the momentum. That is, it is not an annual meeting. It is not a biannual. It is a or let's say biannual or bilateral. So annual, biannual, biennial. There is something called as annual, biannual, and biennial meetings. Annual means every year you meet. So biannual means you will be in 1 year 2 times you will meet. So biennial means once in 2 years you meet. So now the meeting of such kind of 2+2 ministerial dialogue, it will happen once at least once every 2 years. Only then they'll be able to keep up with the objectives and momentum and all, right? That is what they decided. Did you understand, guys? Yes, Shilpa, 2 times they meet. Yeah. No, once every 2 years, not 2 times, once every 2 years. That's the whole point. Yes, Soham, I can sense a question being triggered from this page at 6 p.m. Yes, definitely you will get. For the 6 p.m. questions, I make sure that the morning 6 a.m. class, at least 1 or 2 questions is brought in. So it will be a way for you to test what you studied as well, right? That's how the sequencing and the interlinkaging of the session should go on. Whatever you take, guys, there should be a connection. Okay, morning ma'am did the theoretical class. So at least 1 or 2 questions from that should come for the evening MCQ class. So at least what you studied will make a lot of sense. That is the whole idea about it. Clear? Now, having understood all this, key important points with regard to the India-Australia first 2+2 dialogue is they had a shared vision on Afghanistan. If you see US, India, Japan, Australia. In that, USA actually had their military troops put up in Afghanistan. We know the big Afghan issue which really happened because now today Afghanistan has been captured by Taliban. That is it. Why they said that Taliban occupied Afghanistan. That is why it is like that. And you know what all is happening in Afghan. But USA was having a good association, and then later the military troop was removed. But still, India having a very good relationship with Afghanistan, we couldn't do that. We were very diplomatic, where we maintained a high-by relationship with Taliban. At the same time, we never made the Afghan PM, Mr. Ghani, know that we are really doing that, because in either ways, Pakistan and China having a good association with Afghan can twist it and make India the culprit there to show that India was really betraying Afghanistan, being the close friends by having a cordial relationship with Taliban. So now that was a scenario where India was totally in trouble, and this issue I have discussed already with you in the editorial. So now I'm just throwing few light on those background as well. So now, keeping all this in mind, what could be the shared vision of India and Australia, guys, on Afghanistan? If you see, these countries, okay, India, Australia, when they entered into the 2+2 ministerial dialogue, they also showed a very common approach, guys, to the Afghan crisis. Because recently Taliban took over Afghan, we all know that. So India even held that the policy is summed up by the UN Security Council resolution that was also there. And if you see the UN Security Council resolution, what do they say? 2593, they emphasize most of all that Afghanistan must not allow its soil to be used in any manner by anybody for terrorism. So this is a so-called notion that they had. Clear? So this is something which, we have to bring it out and we need to understand, because, and at the same time, both India and Australia, they also had a notion of countering terrorism. So they said such kind of association together can also be focused on countering, or let's say fighting against terrorism, because we know that money laundering and terrorism funding is too much. So let's stop such kind of money laundering and let us go for countering the terrorism funding and all. So now to work together on counter-terrorism, countering of radicalization and on the proposed UN Comprehensive Convention on National Terrorism, these two countries have planned. So then this kind of association will either, or let's say will even more take us to such kind of joint associations. Clear? Did you understand, all of you? At the same time, to strengthen the bilateral relationship, as I told you initially, guys, in the beginning of the class, India, Australia, when they come together from the secretary level, now it became to the ministerial level, 2+2 ministerial dialogue or partnership. Automatically, don't you think so? In the bilateral trade, in the vaccine, now taking into consideration the COVID-19 perspective. Come on, the vaccination or the vaccine perspective is even more important. It is not like your 1 or 2 Covishield and Covaxin vaccine. No, the third wave is already going on. And now we pata nahi kya hai, which all new virus or delta variant will pop up. So now the booster vaccine, that vaccine, this vaccine, at the end of the day, our body will only be with vaccines, I feel, people. That's the hard way it is going on. So now such kind of relationship will also enable us to have a relationship in the vaccine perspective. because taking into consideration the current scenario of our country, right, and also the global economy, and also to have a very good association in the defense production. Then the community links, the maritime security, the cyber, the online cyber threat and perspectives, to have a good association in that, and also the climate cooperation where environment is coming, because environment is also important. So in multiple aspects, or let's say in multiple dimensions or disciplines, such kind of bilateral relationship between India and Australia's 2+2 ministerial dialogue will be strengthened. And basically for strengthening only, guys, this so-called ministerial dialogue was put up. Did you understand, all of you? Now that the India-Australia's 2+2 ministerial dialogue has been brought in, do you really think there is that these countries have a huge cooperation on the COVID-19 perspective also? Yes. Now, when this 2+2 ministerial dialogue was inaugurated, or it was going on, the agreement was reached basically to deepen the cooperation, or let's say the association in manufacturing of vaccine. And that was coming under the Quad framework also. India, US, Japan, Australia, India framework also, when 4 countries were associating together for deepening the cooperation. Vaccine manufacturing agreement is already done. But again, when India, Australia separately, when they came for ministerial 2+2 ministerial dialogue, the same thing. They focus there should be more association with regard to the vaccine manufacturing, guys, and the same time to deliver what? The high quality vaccine to their Indo-Pacific partners. So yes, the researchers of both the countries, India and Australia, we're working together. Why? Because we want to advance the COVID-19 screening and study the future health effects of such kind of viruses. For that, now India and Australia, through the so-called 2+2 ministerial dialogue, they said all the projects for such kind of researches will be funded exclusively by the Australia-India Strategic Research Fund. Now, have a look into it. Though the Quad framework, listen to it carefully. Though the Quad framework between India, Japan, USA, Australia is also focusing on this. Now, when India and Australia is coming out and forming another ministerial, dialogue, doesn't mean they're avoiding US and Japan. No, but India is so smart. Now, exclusively from Australia alone, in the Australia-India Strategic Research Fund, they're getting the funding to carry out the research. So now, in a way, don't you think it's benefiting a country, India's health perspective, and to tackle this virus and to tackle this pandemic? Yes. So it's a two-way traffic where India is exclusively benefiting from the Quad framework altogether, and also from Australia individually now. You got the point? So smart we are. That's called as the high-level diplomacy, guys, which is exhibited in our country, India. So you should be happy that, chalo, we are smart chaps out there. Our country people are literally the most smart chaps. That's why it is said that incredible India. Hamara India na incredible hai. That is why, it is said that Sara Jahan se acha Hindustan hamara. This is something, this line has a lot of meaning in different dimensions, guys. Yes, Hindustan hamara and Hindustan hamara is so different. Anyways, and when I hear the term Hindustan, the next thing that comes to my brain is, Hindustan University, because I work there. So yes, Hindustan everywhere. Anyways, the next one, the defense relationship. So now the next important thing is, like, see, through this 2+2 ministerial dialogue, okay, the defense relationship is nothing but Australia, taking into consideration the so-called ministerial dialogue, they invited us. That is, Australia has invited a country, India, for the participation in the future talisman sabre exercises. Now, why would Australia invite us, guys? So Australia felt that when India, already being a Quad member and now exclusively having a separate relationship in the 2+2 ministerial dialogue or partnership, India could future as an emerging economy. India can also be a part of the future exercises called as Talisman Sabre exercise of Australia, because that will again increase the interoperability while both sides explore long-term reciprocal arrangements, guys, with regard to logistics support. We know that logistics sector is the most popping up sector these days. And as far as the country India is concerned, we need a lot of support in that particular sector. Be it trade, be it whatever it is, logistics sector as a whole is having a huge demand of market these days. So now, through this, that can also be promoted. Did you understand, all of you? Yeah. Now, what were the economic arrangements, guys? What do you think such kind of 2+2 ministerial dialogue can lead to the economic arrangements? If you see, through such kind of, again, the partnership between these two countries, there was a renewed support. See, already you should understand one thing, India and Australia is a part of Quad. It is not like they don't have any associations and all. They do have. But when you have something new, they're kind of renewing, they're kind of improving the support, which is expressed for the finalization of bilateral comprehensive economic cooperation agreement. So thus, another important point, very, very important point to be focused is through this particular bilateral relations or the ministerial dialogue. In the economic agreement, apart from all this comprehensive strategic cooperation and all, the agreement stuff, both India and Australia, for a very, very early resolution, guys, they pitched up. They said, Chalu, it's high time that we are pitching for an early resolution with regard to the most important issue of taxation, because taxation gives you better revenue for both the countries to carry out the expenditure activities, right? Because that is a public revenue through which the public expenditure can be carried out with the concerned government. So now they said, let us pitch for the early resolution of the issue of taxation of all the offshore or overseas income of Indian firms, which is coming under the India-Australia Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement. So now, even in this particular perspective on the economic agreements, they are striking a very, very strong and valid point. That is also one of the notable highlights of the India-Australia's got 2+2 ministerial dialogue. Did you understand? And don't you think so? This is adding more value to what we are talking now. Now you tell me, India-Australia's got such kind of 2+2 ministerial dialogue. Is it leading to the fall or the rise of Quad? It is leading to the rise only, because they don't have any intentions of putting the Quad relations down, where USA and Japan is a part of it. It's just that along with the Quad, they are trying to establish good relations, but there are negatives also that I'll tell you now. But still, on the whole, if you see, it will not destroy the Quad partnership. We cannot say like that. But still, there are experts and people who are saying, no, USA and Japan can even plan differently. But that is not the case. Nowhere India, Australia is doing something without the knowledge of Japan and US, because already they are a part of Quad. It's just that they are strengthening their ties more deeper. And to add more to this point, already India has such kind of relationships, such kind of bilateral relations with Japan and US. So that doesn't make a difference there. But the whole point is, with Australia, in spite of the strategic relationship, they went for the 2+2 ministerial dialogue. From the secretary level, they went to ministerial dialogue, partnership. So that is the only point which is twisting between in the Quad framework between Japan and US. Did you understand? So this international relations, you have to study this like a next door neighbor story. Like A, B, C, three people are there. So when A and B is very good friends and C is a common friend, and or let's say when B is having an issue with A, now C will interrupt and spoil the whole stuff. But A and B will not know this is happening. Similarly, when India is a common factor, you understand. So now when you study like that, see, when you gossip at a low level, it is between the individuals. When the gossiping comes to big level, it comes to the national level, and the dirty politics has been played out there. You understand? So that is what really international relations topics are all about. So the beauty of international relations is what it enables you to improve your analytical capacity to think why it is like this. So always the question called why, and what can you do? And how can this happen? How can you really make it more creative with the innovative solutions? These kind of activities go through your brain whenever you study IR, guys, because it's kind of a problem and finding a solution at the same time, and understanding the gimmicks and understanding the diplomatic perspectives and other political stuffs over there. So it's a beautiful stuff, guys, to study international relations. All those who feel your IR is difficult, believe me, it's the most beautiful subject ever. If I after economics, if I love a subject, means it is IR, because economics is my main domain, and of course IR, the current affairs perspective of it. It's very interesting to know all the countries, guys, how they work, the kind of approaches they have. You can actually put those approaches into your real life also when you plan, when you execute things. That's the beauty of it. Anyways, the next one. Apart from all this, the focus of this India-Australia first 2+2 ministerial dialogue is, while reaffirming or reassuring the support for the Indian candidacy for permanent membership of the UN Security Council. Okay, while doing all those, the grants of Australian $1 million to the so-called ISA, International Solar Alliance, because we are focusing on the renewable source of energy these days, and now ISA is very important. So now, while reaffirming the support for the so-called permanent membership of India in the UNAC, the grants of Australia's $1 million to the International Solar Alliance and Australian $10 million to the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, all these are brought in. And both these are India-led initiative where India is getting funding. So now what India wanted the funding, and are they not getting it from Australia? Yes. So they have every other reason to have a very good 2+2 ministerial dialogue with Australia, because we are getting benefited at the end of the day. And one is a disaster resilient infrastructure you need fund. Yes, this pandemic is also kind of disaster. So you need funding. At the same time, for ISR, renewable energy, get back to your 2 days before 6 a.m. class, the carbon neutrality, India's target to net zero emissions. There I told you, in the years to come, by 2030 or 50% of our country's energy should be utilized from where? The renewable source of energy, and the target is keeping on and on increasing. So now for all these things, you need funding here to achieve those targets. and to achieve net carbon emissions by the year 2070. So where will the money come for all these projects and also? Now, for such kind of thing, again, the association with Australia can be utilized by a country India like this. Did you understand? Perfect. So multiple topics are to be interconnected or interlinked, guys, when you study these topics. So you'll really understand the depth of it. What about the others in the class? All fine? Perfect. Now, here we go. The relationship between India and Australia. It's very, very important for us to have a good understanding. So now the geopolitical relations, guys. Take care. Over the past few years, if you talk about India, Australia, okay, over the past few years, the actions taken by China, or let's say the China's action, including extensive island building in the South China Sea. This activity of China, guys, it has literally increased concerns in a number of countries around the world. Don't you think so? Because China being the Shaguni out there, creating problems among every other country, because China want to be the single superpower. That is the biggest point to be understood. They somehow, by hook or crook, they want to be the superpower. That is something which India understood way before. That is why India do not even think of having any sort of association with this country. And once upon a time, when USA was very close to China, during the presidency of Mr. Trump. Okay, today is no more the president, but then during the ex-president of US and during the Donald Trump's time, when when USA and China was very thick friends, हमारा like दोस्त ना इतना दोस्ती है, like Sholay song, hey दोस्त की, they were like that. But today, कौन दोस्त की, it has become like that. Seriously. So now they understood the real, tactics or the gimmicks played by them. So using USA, China was trying to capture the other parts because USA is also superpower. So China's whole point is to become a superpower, guys. So they'll do anything out of the box, right? So sensing that, when the government in USA changed, now they are also slowly against home China. That is why USA came into the Quad relation of partnerships very strongly. So now, for every single country, guys, in multiple dimensions, or let's say in perspective, China's extensive island building in the South China Sea has caused a lot of issue, and because of that, again, the Quad was brought in the limelight. Simply, USA, Japan, Australia did not come and frame a group called as Quad framework. There are so many associations like SAARC associations, ASEAN association, that association, this association between so many countries. But there was a reason behind the formations of QUAD Quad. There was something called as Malabar Naval Exercise. In yesterday's 6 p.m. class, in the Unacademy platform MCQ, I put forward this topic called as Malabar Naval Exercise. Remember, what is that? Initially, USA and India. Okay, USA and India formed a group, or let's say they had a good association in order to discuss all the maritime issues and defense maritime issues and all. Now, they invited Japan also to be a part of it. So these three countries, not bilateral, trilateral relations. It was initially between India and US. Now when Japan joined, it became trilateral. So that is called, for the benefit of the maritime activities and other perspective. So that is called as Malabar Naval Exercise. Now when they included Australia, it became an association of 4 countries. So the Malabar Naval Exercise expanded to something called as Quad framework. And the reason why Quad was brought in is India is the one who pushed other countries to invite Australia. The proposal was kept by India because India wanted to strengthen the ties of other countries to move against China. So using the opportunity, now lot of countries, including US, was against what? China. So now this has led to the formation of Quad. So now who is benefiting, guys? More than Australia, Japan, US guys in the Quad grouping. The emerging economy like India is benefiting the most out of the so-called association for the fact that we rank number 2 in the world economy after China for population. And that is one common factor where China is also not able to digest. Okay, in spite of that, India is having such kind of thing. We should not allow them to grow and to be a superpower nations. And all the projects put forward by China towards us is been fatafat rejected. Even the One Belt Road Initiative, OBOR, I repeat, One Belt Road Initiative. When every other countries agreed to it, India could sense the so-called collaterals, or let's say the other hidden agendas of China, and said a big no to it. So that has actually taken back China. And whatever they do to capture the northeastern borders or parts, whatever they do, instead of giving replies, we are also taking actions directly. You understand? So now this is what we're doing. We are fighting back with a lot of courage and enthusiasm, where we appear as if we are very normal. So now gathering the strength of countries are very important. So that is why this Quad framework was really brought in. Did you understand? You should know why Quad framework. It's not simply put together, guys. The whole enemy, or let's say the whole point revolving is against, I repeat, against China. The Shaguni out there, guys. Clear? So now you tell me, is international relations not, an interesting subject or topic to study? Study like the ancient Mahabharatas, guys. You will really enjoy it. When you study that, you study what the tactics played by Lord Krishna with regard to Pandavas, Kauravas, all these stuff. Similarly, you study like that. It will be so interesting, believe me. You will love to know what is happening again, what is happening there, why are they doing this? It becomes like a next door neighbor story, That's why IR is always the best. Yes, Rani Rashmi? Perfect. So all those who are new to this class today, let me tell you guys, do come at 6 a.m. early morning to boost up your brains and to have a fresh start of the day with the amazing current topics and news. Okay, tomorrow also it will be at 6 a.m. If at all you cannot come due to some reasons at 6 a.m., make sure before 10 a.m. you are watching the session. The moment you wake up, watch the session because it is in YouTube, so it is already it will be uploaded. But for the 6 p.m. special class, no recorded sessions are permitted because you're polling there. So if you're live only, you'll enjoy that. You got the point? But try to come maximum for the live class in the morning, so you'll benefit. Yes, Surendra. Yes, ma'am. IR teaches us diplomacy with other countries. Yeah. When you study the diplomacy, the factor called diplomatic attitude or behavior automatically comes in you. And the ethical stuff gets added more into yourself. So actually, you yourself is improving here. When your brain start working like that. As a UPSC CSE aspirant, you will adopt those qualities also. When you study IR, this is not for the sake of studying the subject. For the sake of improving in knowledge, for the sake of improving the quality called diplomacy at individual level also, apart from focusing on the country level. You will start developing that because I have developed it through IR. Let me tell you, I started my preparation way back when I was the 8th standard girl, when I was. So the journey is too long and I'm teaching for past 7 years in UPSC exclusively. And, talking about the, preparation, it's more than a decade. Okay, altogether, but teaching exclusively for UPSC is 7 years. But so the quality of diplomacy, the quality is the individual or officer level attitude, or let's say the kind of, expressions. All these comes from such kind of, subjects. When you study, don't study for the sake of by hearting and studying. No. Whatever benefits you are able to imbibe from that particular subject, that particular concept, that particular scenario, try to convert them in the practical perspective of your life as well. It adds more value to it, believe me, because it will emerge you to be a very strong iron person out there, no matter whatever it is. Clear? Yes, what is it? So, suppose you become the unique foreign minister, you can give a dose to all who terrify us. That's a great question. Let me see, I'm not sure whether I'll become a foreign minister. I'm not sure about it. I'm not having any aspirations to become that because we never know where life takes us. That is a different thing. But anyways, as an economist, yeah, I will contribute my best for my country, India. That is something which I can promise. Anyways. So yes, talking about the defense relations, guys. So the India-Australia relationship, if you see in the geopolitical relations, it has given the rise of Quad. And now, what about the defense relationship, guys? Yes, again, if you see the bilateral naval exercise called as Aussie Index, you see already India, Australia is having another exercise also, Aussie Index. Then ex-Austra Hind, that was in bilateral exercise that we have with Army. Then ex-Pitch Black. What is ex-Pitch Black? Australia's multilateral air combat training exercise and the so-called Malabar exercise, the multilateral Malabar exercise. All these consist of the Quad countries. So now exclusively again, the 2+2 ministerial dialogue by India-Australia for the first will definitely deepen the defense relationship between these two countries as a whole. And all these countries, be it India, Australia, US, Japan, and all the Quad countries, they have signed an arrangement called as Mutual Logistics Support Arrangement as well to strengthen their relationship so that they can fight back against their common enemy, that is China. Did you understand, all of you? Next, the multilateral cooperation. Okay. Now, both, be it India and Australia, guys, we know that they are a member of Quad. Do you think India, Australia is only a member of Quad? No, there are so many other associations where you can find the common name India, Australia out there. Don't you think so, guys? Yes, apart from being the Quad member, if you see, India and Australia is also a member of what? Is also a member of Quad. Both are members of Quad. Then the Commonwealth, member of Commonwealth, the member of IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association, then ASEAN Regional Forum, Asia Pacific Partnership on Climate and Clean Development, and they've also participated in all the East Asia summits. So now if you take the history of India, Australia, it's not a new commitment or relationship that they have. Way back in multiple dimensions, these Quad members are associated. And now having a 2+2 ministerial dialogue will definitely do great wonders, because keeping in the experience and the associations they have for a very long time, now something exclusively for these two countries, where they expect a very comprehensive strategic partnership in different dimensions, can play the role of king and queen to make huge changes with regard to a country. Did you understand, guys? And at the same time, if you see, be it India and Australia, they've also been cooperating as members of what? The FIP, that is your 5 interested parties in the World Trade Organization context. Clear? So even in the FIP, the 5 interested parties also in the WTO, World Organization context, these countries have been cooperating as members. So the association, the cooperation is vivid, or let's say it's way beyond where we need to understand that they are having a huge association. Yes, Rani, what is it? Please explain once. See, Rani, the whole point is the multilateral cooperation with India, Australia. It's not the first time, or let's say it's not something because of this 2+2 ministerial dialogue. No, the reason why 2+2 ministerial dialogue is more important is because already for so many years, if you see, be it in the IORA, the Asian Regional Forum, the Quad, Commonwealth, all these forums, we are exhibiting a great relation. So now such kind of 2+2 ministerial dialogue should take India Australia's relation to the next level with more progress. That is why this so-called point has been given. Did you understand? And now, having understood that in mind, guys, don't you think so? Even in the EPIC, that is Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, Australia is a very, very important player, and it is supporting the India's membership of the organization. Yes, so every now and then you can see the support of Australia, that is for a country India. So they're more or less like, let's say, when you have a best friend, so where, or let's say when you have a very close association with somebody, the other is trying to put you into the phase talented where you are also in. Similarly, Australia is trying to do that for our country India. So there is no doubt, or let's say there is nothing wrong for such kind of exclusive first ministerial 2+2 dialogue between these two countries. Clear? Perfect. Perfect. Now, from the prelims perspective, individual questions based on Quad, Malabar Naval Exercise, Commonwealth, IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association, then Asian Regional Forum, all these things can come for the exam. Please go note it. Individually, they are very important. And also, but Asia Pacific Partnership, Climate Clean Development, that based on those keywords, questions will not come. But till this regional forum is important, and then the APEC, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, details based on that, the static and analytical perspective is very, very important for the prelim. It is an hit list topic. Consider the following statement. For the prelims examination, questions from this area can also come. So in the 6 p.m. practice session we do in the Unacademy free platform, you can see all these questions coming up. Clear? So just make a note of it. Now, apart from all this India-Australia, guys, we also have very good, diplomatic engagements. What are the other diplomatic engagements, guys, we have? See, just in a blue moon, India never went to Australia and said, chalo, let's have a 2+2 ministerial dialogue. I repeat, ministerial dialogue. They didn't say like that. Keeping in mind the so-called years of relations and the progress these countries have been exhibiting, now they thought, chalo, we got to have a 2+2 ministerial dialogue. Nothing wrong in that. So basically, these are points to show you that this dialogue is in favor for the progress of other countries also, because they're not harming anyone. Rather, they're strengthening their ties to exhibit a better cooperation. You understand? So thus, the other diplomatic engagement with regard to India, Australia is that a civil nuclear cooperation agreement was also there, guys, since September 2014 between India and Australia. Now the MLAT, Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty, and Extradition Treaty. These are also between which countries? India, Australia. And way back since June 2000, it's been more than like 13 to 14 years. Already, they say more than a decade they are in good association, guys. Since then you have. And now, further, the recently what happened? You remember the hackathon? Not your marathon and other hackathon. India-Australia Circular Economy Hackathon, the IACE, that was also organized. So you see the multiple dimensions or the diplomatic engagements or relations between these two countries. So now 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogue for the first time makes a lot of sense because to put all these things under one single umbrella. Clear? Now, this is what you should know, guys. The reasons why, or the reason why India Australia's first 2 plus 2 dialogue is important. So we understood why this we are studying this particular topic. We saw what is, what are the other perspectives to be understood. Though we have the Quad members also, although they are the part of the Quad members also, exclusively this ministerial level dialogue adds more value to their progress. Such kind of bilateral relations can contribute more to the comprehensive strategic partnership. So multiple points we saw. At the same time, what are the key focus of this dialogue on Pacific region, defense, that, this, everything we discussed. And also, I even took you to for a background understanding of the existing 10 to 15 years of good association and engagements of India, Australia, and why there is a need for a new ministerial 2 plus 2 dialogue. So all these points are actually the supporting points for you to understand the India-Australia relation is not a new thing, but then it has been there for a long time. And it is not just from the Quad relation or let's say, the partnership they became close. No. India proposed Australia because of the so-called previous relations that they had. And now today, after being the Quad members, they have brought out, or let's say they've come out with a new first 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogue. Simple as that. Did you understand, all of you? So why all these things are told to you or given to you is because you should have a very clear-cut understanding of exactly how to study, and what are the important points to be understood. Otherwise, once in like one day in a blue moon night, you're coming like this and telling, okay, India, Australia, this relationship. Similarly, India, Russia also, when they had such kind of dialogue, there are various reasons, guys, why it has been brought in. Just like that, one day, no countries will agree for such kind of dialogues or partnership, because entering into an agreement between two countries on multiple dimensions is a huge risk. So take into consideration years of relations and the previous agreements and arrangements and the progress what we have seen in such kind of partnership will give rise to a new partnership because it consists of so many multi-dimensional factors, improvements in it. You got the point. So that is something to be understood. Clear? Now, let's quickly have a look into the Quad perspective. So from the prelims examination perspective, the topic called as Quad is very important. So the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, okay, or the Quad group or the Quad framework, it is a strategic forum. And do you think it is a formal strategic association or forum between India, Japan, Australia, USA? No. Please look into this keyword. It is informal. So you will all know what is Quad, who are the 4 Quad members and all. But for the prelims examination, if they say a formal strategic forum, you will say, yeah, all the countries are representing and these countries are a part of it. But please understand, they are not a formal thing. It's an informal strategic forum, guys, or an association of these 4 countries. India, US, Japan, and then Australia. Did you understand? That is a very, very important keyword for you to note from Quad. Though Quad is a very, very simple topic also, this one word can change the meaning of the whole notion. Did you get it? Yeah, keep a note of it. Now, this is to show your Quad out there, guys. India, Australia, US, and Japan. Now, what do you think are the guiding principles of Quad? So these are a background understanding, guys, because when you talk about India, Australia's dialogue, it is very important for us to know about Quad and few important, points based on that. So whatever I've told you with regard to, I give a gist in the introduction of the class with regard to the Quad and why it was put forward. So I'll look into a detailed perspective of it. So tomorrow, no matter whatever questions, be it for the prelims or the mains come on this Quad, you'll be able to answer. Because when you study the 2 plus 2 ministerial dialogue of India, Australia, you should never be without revising the topic called as Quad. Why? Because currently India, Australia is an active member of the Quad. And then why the ministerial dialogue is the next thing, which is very important. Yes, Surendra, respected ma'am, the session also help in vocabulary also. If possible, please keep session on keyword of IR also, so that helpful for newspaper reading as well. Surendra, for that you have to come for the 6 p.m. class. Your vocabulary, your cognitive ability, decision-making capacity, presence of mind, along with upgrading knowledge, techniques, tricks, and tips with the exclusive K-Easy method introduced by me called as Keyword Elimination Comparison Technique. All these are taught at the 6 p.m. class. You come for that. Download the app. Okay, the link is given in the description box of this particular video. What you do is you download it. Okay? And then It's free only. I think somebody can guide you also in the class. So must somebody just guide him. You just follow me in my profile there. The 6 p.m. link will be given via my Telegram or WhatsApp. You can find it. Otherwise, you go to my profile itself. You can find live at 6. Click on that. Use the code Nisha IAS Live, which you can see below every single slide. Not only for the paid platform of Unacademy, guys, even for the free platform to unlock the free content, this code can be used. Come and attend the live class to become IAS officers with me, and that is Nisha IAS Live. Clear? So automatically the free class you can watch. One time you use the code is enough. So regularly you can watch it. Just one time is enough. Take it, automatically it gets added to every other courses. Clear? I can download it and you'll be able to see a whole of a difference with this. Fine. And today 6 p.m. also. Normally Monday to Saturday I do take into consideration the request from students because they do not want to miss MCQs like that. So today 6 p.m. also it will be there. And tomorrow there will be a continuous carnival from morning 9 a.m. with half an hour break. So even you can come for that on weekly MCQs on January current affairs. Okay. So it is a MCQ discussion plus a quick 360-degree coverage of that. So without even getting back to the news, you'll be able to understand what to study, what not to study. So this is the benefit, guys. So all of you can utilize the same as well. Okay. Perfectly. So back to what I was telling you regarding the quad group guiding principle. So now the basic idea between this quad grouping between India, US, Japan, Australia is nothing but they want to make sure that this informal partnership, okay, they are able to keep up the strategic and the important or significant sea routes in the Indo-Pacific, which is free of any influence. So they don't want any disturbances to happen in that so-called Indo-Pacific route because the factor called China is threatening them. The factor called this so-called Shaguri is threatening them. So that is why in the Quad principle, these countries are very, very careful about that. And thus, in short, sweet and to the point manner, I can tell you that just to reduce the influences of the so-called Chinese, this informal strategic grouping has been seen, guys. No doubt in that. Basically to preempt or let's say to fight back in a diplomatic way and also to reduce the influence of Chinese, this so-called Quad principle is seen. And that's the basic notion or the agenda of such kind of Quad grouping. And thus the most important core or the key objectives of Quad is nothing but they want to secure a rule-based global order along with the freedom of navigation and also liberal trading system with not much of rules and regulations but something that is manageable. So this is the most important objectives of what, guys? The Quad framework or the Quad dialogue between India, US, Japan, Australia. Clear? At the same time, another important guiding principle of this Quad framework is they seek to contain a rising or let's say an overambitious China to become the superpower world, guys. Okay, they seek to contain or limit them. You do whatever you want, but don't rule any other country. Matlab, see, it is like live and let live. We all know that. Live and let live is the basic principle to be understood or followed. Now, what is China doing? They're trying to capture every other country as much as possible and they're trying to, play the dirty politics out there, which has been understood by every single country. And now the so-called COVID-19 pandemic. If you see even the G7, or the G7 association, the G20 countries or the G7 countries, especially G20 and all, which is a political symposium of many countries together. Even those, countries, meetings and associations, they say that they're having a doubt because the so-called pandemic has popped up from China. It is a truth. It is I can say you it is a popular secret which China is denying. But yeah, the truth is that it has sprouted from their own laboratories only. Why they are doing it? So to be more, more generalistic or more appropriate, I can say that we had the World War I and II. We had all the fights, we had all the jagdas and all the conflicts. But the World War III couldn't be done with all those stuff. But rather the biological war is going on without even having any physical fight or let's say bloodshed or whatever through the such kind of COVID-19 pandemic or the biological perspective because the entire population of the country is getting affected holistically, guys. You understand? So this is something to be understood. Clear? Yes, Rani. Ma'am, can you please explain the influence on India for Chinese relations with Maldives? So that is a question which I can answer probably. Just remind me towards the end of the class. Let me finish this and then we'll come to that. Otherwise, you'll be confused. Why Maldives in between? Take care. Just remind me that. So now, yes, biological war is worse than nuclear war. That's true. See, nuclear war, at least you can understand. But then biological, see, Every single citizen is affected. Every single citizen. It is a micro level impact, guys. Very, very badly, believe me. So that is the dirtiest thing that can happen ever, and that is what is happening to us. So now, don't you think so? Such kind of quad relation is so before the pandemic, the quad framework is there, but now way back itself they knew the Khatarnak wala feature of China. They nicely smile, but then they know what to do. See, this doesn't mean that the Chinese people are bad. See, even I too have a lot of China friend and Japan friend. It's the government policies, guys. It's not the citizens are bad. See, they are the citizens of the country. You understand? It's like, the policies taken by them, by the so-called ruling people, that is bad. So please understand that also, guys. Don't think the entire China or the people are bad. No, they're also good people with good heart. The whole point is when the ruling parties, the ruling governing government takes such kind of decisions, what will the people also do? So it's between the policy makers, right? But that at the end of the day causing a issue between every single citizen as well. Anyways, so thus another important reason or the purpose of Quad framework is to offer alternative debt financing for the nations exclusively in the Indo-Pacific region. So now in the Indo-Pacific, again Australia has a huge impact, and now Australia in many perspectives, being a developed economy, they're able to do the funding as well. And for a country India, now this is exclusively more important because we are having a huge amount of debt and the expenditure is on the rise where we need funding to do all the public expenditure activities. Did you understand, all of you? Yes? Perfect. Now, let me quickly take you to the timeline of the so-called, Quad framework and the, other perspectives to be understood. If you see, 2007. What is it, 2007? If you see, in the year 2007, the Japanese Prime Minister, Mr. Shinzo Abe, a wonderful person to ever cherished, because I was blessed with an opportunity way back in the year 2017 to have an interaction. As I told you, I was in Japan, officially representing a country, India, for the conference over there. So then, a very good gentleman, guys, I should tell you. At the same time, though that is the case also, all the young brains and the youngsters of India, they want them to work in Japan. They're very smart because when you talk about the demographic dividend, guys, India has a better working young population compared to Japan because Japan has an older population than the young. Okay, so anyways, back to class. So thus, if you see, in the year 2007, by the Japanese PM Shinzo Abe, with the help of US Vice President Mr. Dick Cheney and the Australian Prime Minister John Howard and Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, they initiated a very diplomatic and military arrangement, and that was unanimously, or let's say uniformly, viewed as a retaliation to increase Chinese economic and military regression. So this is before the 2008 global financial crisis. So since then, Japan, Australia, China, or before the Quad itself, they were uniformly associated with such kind of military arrangement. And now, did you see something? It is not the US president, but US vice president who took action for that. Clear? So because Chinese economic and military aggression was too much here, so then you need to really do something for that. The other countries cannot sit quiet and listen to that. If they do that, China will try to capture the entire world economies, and we have to be, a slave of them. That cannot be the case. We cannot let that happen. We are liberal, right? So since that, all this is happening, and thus they were very sure. That is, these countries were very sure that they'll never even include China in any of the framework. Very smart they were. It was a complete sheer ignorance or neglecting of the factor called China. And China knows it is against them. But still they stand strong. Okay, that is another point that we should learn from China. Whoever is putting them alone also, they still stand and fight back. And thus, if you see, when the so-called quadrilateral dialogue was put forward, okay, China was not there. So what did China feel? China responded to such kind of quad framework of India, US, Japan, Australia by declaring formal diplomatic protest. And China said, chalo, formal diplomatic protest China did, and China said to all the members, be it India, US, Japan, Australia, you are a closed clique you. This is what China, let's say China kind of abused. I cannot say abuse, but China kind of literally thrashed, or let's say this is how they express their protest. You are a closed clique you. So now when you say such kind of thing, do you think the countries like India, Japan, US and Australia can be shaken? They are so much in unity. You got the point. And thus the Quad, they paused for a while following the withdrawal of Australia during Kevin Rudd's tenure as Prime Minister. Now, when China called them a close clique, so since 2017, Australia was also part of it. But now after this, in the Quad relation, there became a stop. Only India, US, and Japan was again continuing. Again, recently only, guys, like two years back only, or let's say 1.5-2 years back only, again, India took initiative, and as per the proposal of India, Australia joined back the Quad framework. Did you understand? So now the Quad framework was not present in the year 2007, I can say. That time China was at a benefit, guys, because you see, whatever it is, diplomatically, nicely, they made sure that at least one country is getting out of the Quad framework. So thus, India, Japan, US, they continue to hold joint naval exercise under the Malabar exercise because Australia is not there. But again, because of the slow and steady, agendas and other hidden perspective of China, Australia understood that. And because India is having a very good relationship with Australia, India convinced the other countries, US and Japan, who are a part of the so-called Malabar exercise, that once again we have to bring the Quad framework back to track, and let's invite Australia and let's make it a joint venture. Clear? And that is how your Quad is brought in. Did you understand? Did you all ever know this closed click secret, guys? These are all the high-level politics that is happening internationally. You never thought. Now, you thought just like that India called Australia and they came. No, before also Australia was there. But what happened? After this China's diplomatic protest and calling it a closed clique and all, Japan, India, US Cup unity was still there. But Australia, they took a withdrawal. Because that time it was Kevin Rudd's tenure, guys, and he had a little of inclination towards China and all. So that China played the part there very well to separate Australia from all those. Clear? So these are the hidden things to be understood. See, just by learning what is India, Australia's 2+2 ministerial dialogue and what is Quad doesn't do the entire job. The whole point is to know every nook and corner in a short, sweet, and to the point manner. The so-called 360-degree coverage. So then everything is coming to you 1, 2, 3 like point wise. So it becomes all the more simple for you to understand. Clear? Now, in 2007, the timeline, this was happened. And now again, the Quad framework couldn't take place, but still India, US and Japan continued to have the naval exercise. What happened in 2012? Again, the Japan PM Shinzo Abe, he emphasized the framework of Asia's democratic security diamond. That time, Japan said, Chalu, let's include India and Australia also. And now Japan and US was supposed to safeguard the maritime interest, which is stretching from the Indian Ocean to the Western Pacific. But there also, though Australia was put up, they associated, but then still the strength was not that great, I can say. Now the timeline of 2017, after 10 years of hiatus, I can tell you that during the 2017 ASEAN Summit, which took place in Manila, now all the former, I repeat, all the former Quad members, led by the Japanese PM Shinzo Abe and the Australian PM Malcolm Turnbull, Indian PM Narendra Modi and US President Trump agreed. Come on, they agreed to revive. Let's bring back the so-called Quadrilateral alliance to counter China. Now, Trump had some brains because after the so-called experience they had, and because of the good relationship with that Mr. Trump of US had with China, even the GSP, the related current affairs, generalized system of preferences. Take care. Even in that, what happened? Our country, India, we had a lot of export perspective. We were improving so much in the export market. We had a lot of liberalization over in the US. But because of China's excessive influence and all the kind of bad politics out there, US said we are going to stop the GSP. That was a huge setback to a developing economy like India. But again, it is said that what goes back will come. What goes back will come around if it belongs to you. Similarly, Trump understood. After some point of time, Mr. Donald Trump of US understood that this is not going to work out. So again, these countries agreed together because now China even played the bad politics to US as well. See, China is something. The Shaguni is not so close-hearted to other countries. Their single agenda is, I will use you if I have a work, and then I'll throw you like a paper if the work is not there. This is a notion of China, and they're very sweet and like a honey. They're sweet in front of you, no doubt in that. Like some people are also there like that. Now, some people are also like that. They'll be so good to you. Oh my goodness, bapre, enough. So much of sweet and honey will flow from their mouth. But we never know the salt or the bitterness out there. So you should be able to understand that. So when Mr. Trump understood that, what happened? They all again in the year 2017 come on, they joined together because they want to bring back the Quadrilateral alliance, just because they want to counter China, because that time the South China Sea issue was going on. Even US was affected. So then do you think US will keep quiet? No. And thus the diplomatic tension between Quad members against the so-called common factor Shaguni, that is China, was widely dubbed as new Cold War. See, let's say these countries, including India, never went against China directly. That Cold War is there. See, India, Japan. We don't fight, sorry, India, Pakistan, we don't fight directly. But the POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir ka issue, there is a huge Cold War. That is why many a times, whatever we try to have a good association also, it is not working out. You'll smile nicely, like this. You smile like that. But then what do you do actually? You understand. So the Cold War is still there. For example, you're working somewhere or or you have a group of people, you do not like somebody. You cannot directly express it. You appear as if you like them or you're very normal with them. But when some issues come, you will make sure that that particular person is not progressing. So some or the other way. Some people are like that. So the Cold War is still there, but you never show it out. When you show, you shake your hands when you see each other. That's what they do. So now the diplomatic tension, okay, between Quad members against China called as new Cold War in the region, and that granted this India, Australia, US, Japan grouping as an Asian NATO. Again, the Quad framework was not brought in. It's called as Asian NATO again, but again, they definitely started the so-called groundwork to go against China because no other option for them. The South China Sea issue of China was triggering every single nation, which they couldn't keep quiet because that is in accordance with the United Nations Convention on Law of Sea, right? The UNCLOS. And now, finally, in the year 2020, as I told you 2 years back, all the 4 countries, Japan, India, Australia, and USA, they participated in the Malabar exercise, which is every year or annual trilateral exercise between the navies of India, USA, Japan. And that was held alternatively in the Indo-Pacific Oceans, India and Pacific Oceans, and thus officially when when India invited Australia to be a part of Quad, and thus the quadrilateral framework of partnership was brought in. And thus officially in the year 2021, what happened? This is how it goes. What happened? Here we go. Through this Malabar naval exercise. Can you see this picture? Through this, the first Quad summit was put up. That time, Mr. Biden became the president, and Joe Biden in the month of March 2021, he organized an online or virtual ministerial meeting where the leaders of all the Quad countries, Indian PM, Japanese PM, Australian PM, and US President, they came together. The spirit of Quad, and they made a joint statement promoting free, open, rules border, rooted in international law, just because they want to protect or have a great international security in the maritime perspective, and also combat or overcome the threats both in the Indo-Pacific and beyond as well. That is how your literally quadrilateral framework relation was brought in. It is not like one day, just like that, these 4 countries came together. Since 2007, this is going on. Since 2007. But the official factor called Quad is not come because China played the dirty politics. They made sure that, forget about India and Japan. Between US and Australia, being the superpowers, being the developed economy, they want to play with them. China was not even trying to convince Japan or let's say India also because they know these 2 countries will never go with them at any cost. So they were focusing on US and Australia, and they took Australia initially. Then they took US initially after that. So now what is happening? The unity of these 4 countries is getting shaken, due to which a quadrilateral framework cannot come. You got the point. So it is bilateral, this trilateral, and finally, come on, as time passed and the issues what China started showing up has triggered themselves itself, because whatever they did is actually affecting the relationship they're having with the countries they're associating also. So Australia understood that. US understood that. When they got nice, now back to the Quad summit, and the ruling people also changed over there. So they, for the better notion for their development, it is not association with any countries. It's about which is benefiting them and who doesn't backstab them. That is more important. See, promoting global peace and security is for entire nation. It shouldn't be like you join with one country and then you work on the back of the other country to destroy them. No, that was what China was doing. That is why all these countries came out and the Quad summit became more stronger and effective. Did you understand? This is the reality. Yes, Prem, ma'am, Nisha ma'am, as you teased in class, or because Australia in, stuff, yes, US, and editorial analysis are reflected in mains 2021 exam. Thanks for effort. Yeah, I know that. That's why I was teaching that to you as well. I told you also from the international relations AUKUS, even in the MCQ class also I stressed that. I think 2 times I taught you the topic and I told you out of the predicted analysis or area, this will come. And now I'm very happy that in the mains examination also it has come. Even from the economics perspective also some couple of questions have come. So, but I'm an expert in prelims and interview again. Of course, mains I teach, but then I give more importance to the first and the third phase of UPSC. Because middle phase you can clear it up, no doubt in that. But so happy to know that Prem, and that you really remembered. It is there in my YouTube. It is an open platform. So if you go to that particular editorial class, I have taken it 2 times and made a prediction also. Yes, it is going to come. I even gave a mains answer writing question also regarding the same, if I'm not wrong. Am I right, Prem? Yes. Perfect. So did you understand, guys, the so-called history of the Quad? It's very important. Now, how do you feel? How do you feel? Do you think India, Australia's first 2+2 ministerial dialogue, could it be a rise or the fall of Quad partnership? Could it be a fall? I don't think much. Maybe they see everything has a lighter and a darker side. So does this topic also. But then 90 or let's say 80% chance is there for them to benefit. Maybe 20 or 10% it could lead to the negative perspective, but still majority is for the positive relationship, or let's say the positive perspective. So I don't think this could lead to really fall of the partnership, because if at all there should be fall of this partnership, now the factor called China will be the country triggering it. Now then all these countries, be it the Quad countries, they understood the real notion of China. They're not going to listen to them anymore. And this pandemic, in the context of the spread of the novel coronavirus, is on the rise. This biological war, no country is going to tolerate, because it's worse than the nuclear war, believe me. So these things are in favor. Clear? So did you all know regarding the history of Quad relations and associations, which is an informal group like this before? I don't think you would have been seen anywhere like this, unless and until you study in detail or read some research articles based on Quad from IR. But this is what you should know as a UPSC aspirant also. I want your knowledge to be widened and horizon like a knowledge hub. That's why all these are given to you. This will take 20 to 30 pages for you to learn. Not required. Solid 5 to 6 killer points revolving every single subtopic is enough. That will do the need for better memory capacity as a whole. That is enough. Clear? Now, here we go. As per the quadrilateral framework and transfers, what do we have? We have in the summit COVID-19 vaccine partnership among all the 4 Quad members. Then environmental issue with regard to climate change, which is the burning issue we all know. Climate working group and association of all these 4 Quad countries together. And then with regard to technology, the critical and emerging technology working group. All these areas will be highly associated. Clear? And thus, if you see in September, guys, the White House, they hosted the very first ever in-person Quad. It was not online. It was in person only, the Quad Summit. And that was attended by our so-called Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. And that was a powerful signal to its adversaries that Quad is here to stay. Nobody is going to break the quadrilateral framework. No matter whatever China does, whatever China is throwing light or doing whatever it is, they cannot even think of breaking this. And this is actually a warning to China that you better be careful, because these countries' unity cannot be destroyed by you like how you did in the year 2007 with Australia and 2012 with US. We are back in 2021 with a lot of strength. India, Japan, US, Australia. Did you understand? That's more important to be understood. So here we go. Japan, if you see, they faces a sustained challenge to its sovereignty and control over the so-called Senkaku or Dayaku Island. Why? Because there, China is saying, come on, this is our own island. They're claiming it as their own. Now, Japan cannot even tolerate the so-called attitude from China. And the direct sea challenges are there both by land and sea. So this is a big issue of, Japan, which they're facing from China. So they're literally against it. And also at the same time, the dramatic increase in the military, sea and air operations around that so-called Senkaku Islands now, that has threatened to overwhelm the Japanese capability. So they need the association or the relationships of such kind of Quad framework. So strategically getting the help of India, US and Australia, they can fight against China. That is with regard to Japan. What about India? India, come on, we know the so-called Chinese retaliation directly, indirectly with regard to the every single perspective. We are more vulnerable. So as a country, we can fight. But then, you need to think, to understand one thing, that we are all born alone, we die alone. But in the process of life, guys, we need the cooperation and the support of people. It's a teamwork that goes. Okay, so you are a good teacher, or let's say if I am teaching for you, it is my effort of taking the content, framing it and presenting it. But without the support of my learners and without knowing what exactly they want, how exactly they want, these sessions can never be viral or a hit. Don't you think so? So it's a kind of cooperation, guys. It's a kind of unity that we have with every single stuff. Similarly, though India is so talented, though we are smart enough in what we want to do, we need to understand that we need the support of other countries to fight back. That too, the developed countries, with regard to finance perspective, with regard to other strategic partnership perspective and all, and technology perspective and all. So now the Chinese forces frequently they cross into the Indian held territory, guys, because they want to capture them, especially the borders, the northeastern borders and all. You understand? So now the issue of the LOC, line of actual control, between two countries posing a lot of threat. And if you see the major areas of disputes of the Indian state of is the northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh, because China is saying that, come on, it's South Tibet. They say that a part of India's Arunachal Pradesh is the South Tibet, whereas India is claiming Aksai Chin as properly part of India's state of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, did you see something? When India is claiming the Jammu and Kashmir fact, what is China doing? They cannot do anything in this perspective. So they know that India, Pakistan has a relationship. They were a very same country, but at the time of 1947, we got splitted. Okay. Now, from that day onward, the issue of Jammu and Kashmir is going on. So the POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir and India occupied Kashmir. Come on, all these things are the issues are triggering. Now China, since they couldn't attack us on this issue, what they're doing? They are taking the help of Pakistan and they're triggering Pakistan against India because already Pakistan is having an issue with India. Though we are on the same perspective also, Cold War is there. So China is adding more fuel to fire. You know what did China do? Now the related current affairs. If you see, Pakistan was in the blacklist. Okay, so Pakistan, if you say, as per the FATF, Financial Action Task Force, again another hit list topic, Financial Action, Task Force, Pakistan was considered to be in the blacklist, which means a country which is supporting money laundering and doing lot of terrorism funding and all. Later, out of 27 indicators, only 21 indicators could be satisfied by the country Pakistan to prove that they are not doing any such money laundering activities or corruptions or let's say terrorist funding or financing. Still, they failed, and now from the blacklist, Pakistan became in the grey list. But whatever, grey list or blacklist, as per the Financial Action Task Force, one thing is to be understood that once a country is in such kind of blacklist or grey list, no other countries globally will come to their help. They will not have any sort of relationship with them. But in spite of that, can you see the economy of Pakistan going down drastically? No. They are getting funding. They are able to maintain it well and good. How? The question is how? Pakistan is not that rich and all. It's not a developed country. How? The secret influence of China. China is the one who's really supporting them and telling them you do this. And now what happened? Pakistan become very close to China. So whatever China tells, they'll do it because they are getting the necessary financial resource and stuffs like that. You got the point? So now Pakistan, now China is triggering Pakistan against India, just like Mahabharata. Pandava, Kaurava, they belong to the same family. For the power perspective, when Kaurava is coming out, okay, now Pandava is also fighting with them. Now, even if they want to come together also to a normal line, now Shaguni plays the dirty politics there. Similarly, China is a Shaguni who is triggering. So even if they both are arriving at a conclusion also, Shaguni will not let them do that. It will keep aggravating for the his own benefit. Similarly, the Shaguni of IR is China. The country China. Nicely, China is pouring more fuel into the fire to burn it like that. And that is why this issue is going on. Did you understand? So how interesting it is to study it like this now, guys. Don't you think so? Yes, it is indeed very interesting. So think the Mahabharatas, guys. I don't think never you'll forget IR. This is my exclusive BRRRMM Technica secret. Brain retention memory technique. Now I study. I kind of connect it here and there in the most simplified ways and keep in mind. So if you study like this, yeah, it will be quite interesting. So you'll never forget. You'll never forget the country's names also because Mahabharata is coming there. You're kind of connecting with like that. It becomes all the more interesting. Anyways, and yes, the others, perfect. Now having this kind of issues with China, since China cannot directly attack us in any way, they're taking the help of Pakistan like this. You got it? Now, the association of the Quad members and countries, don't you think so? It's quite important for a country, India, at this point of time? Yes, it is. Now, the next one, Australia. Now, though Australia, guys, you should understand one thing, compared to Japan, India, or let's say US, though Australia doesn't have any sort of territorial dispute with China, or let's say with any of its neighbors in the past, the rapid rise of China in changing the calculus for Canberra, that has literally triggered the anger of Australia to greater extent, I can tell you. And China's recent moves have also raised fears in the prospect that China might even attempt to gain a military foothold in the South Pacific. Now, do you think Australia will keep quiet? No. Whatever association you have, staying with us or being with us, we are trying to occupy our own territory. Do you think Australia will leave them? No. Now, directly Australia went in the Quad summit. That is how the official quadrilateral framework or transfer is brought in. You got the point? Even here, China, for Australia, China is causing trouble like this. As if China is like, Acha bacha, haan, main theek hu yaar, I'm very fine, I have no issues, but then see what they're doing. That is another reason why Australia is with the Quad people to work against China. And now the US. Now, for US, the whole point is you should understand that there is no direct, fight with China. But taking the help of US, but being with US itself, what was China doing? To become the superpower. I repeat, to become the superpower nation, to become more powerful than US, because we know that out of the entire countries in the world, the most powerful nation or the most powerful developed country is US, United States of America, because the White House is only there. And the position of the US president or the White House is something which is quite higher than any other country. We know that. Though the other countries may rank higher than US in so many other perspectives. But with regard to the power, they are the ultimate decision-making authority, whatever it is. You understand? So now, slowly, US got to know that this China is getting close to them to actually take over their position. And if they want to do that also, by hampering them, they want to do that, which US will never allow. So US views China itself as a direct competitor, guys. And its national interest in advancing a military dimension is quite transparent also, very much transparent. And thus, during the Donald Trump administration, when he was a president, there was a trade war with Beijing and China, guys. And that has literally explained or showcased or demonstrated what to challenge the so-called China's economic practice, governance, and security. So this is the main reason from why today the highest support of US is in the Quad framework, and now that is benefiting a country India, because now John Biden is in the process of bringing back the GSP as well, generalized system of preferences, which was taken from our country India. So we can get all those back. So now you see, out of all these framework, everybody has a story against China. But who is benefiting the more, guys? It is India. Why? Because we are underdeveloped country compared to all these countries. I cannot say underdeveloped, but at least developing. In many perspectives, we still need to develop more. So the association of Japan and the association of Australia and US and all is a big strength to us. We are actually adding up our strength. So we can fight back with whatever resources and the talent and the diplomatic stuff we have. So the brain is India's, guys, for the such kind of strong quadrilateral framework. It's not many other countries. Did you understand? They made the other countries come to us. That's the whole idea here. Clear? Yes, Soham. That's why it is said that India, that is Bharat, Hamara nation. That's why I said. It is said that Sare Jahan se acha Hindustan Hamara. No other country is called as Hindustan except India. Hindustan doesn't mean this Hindu perspective. Hindustan matlab Hamara desh. ठीक है, हमारा देश इंडिया है, हमारा भारत है. वो इसलिए इतना, you should be so proud that you're an Indian, guys, because you see the kind of brain that we have. How easily every other country, even though they went against us, also we brought them back to track. That is the high level diplomacy. And if at all a country should be ranked or a country should be given a reward for the best diplomatic attitude or decisions, it should be a country India. Believe me. That's why I keep telling you, India is not a joke. It's incredible, not only in culture, language, people, tradition, religion, in the decisions we make. The only part is that with regard to the social indicators like poverty, hunger, and some other perspectives, we need more help. That is because of the lack of financial resource we have, guys. That is the reality. But we are working it on. We can never say we have been the same like day one. We are improving. But the pace or the speed is to be triggered a little more. And another supporting point is the population is keeping on increasing. So the pace is getting disturbed. The ratio is getting disturbed. That is why. Clear? Simple. As simple as that. I hope now nobody will even forget in their sleep the so-called history behind the Quad framework, the quadrilateral relations, and also the India-Australia's first 2+2 ministerial dialogue. Now you tell me, do you think such kind of ministerial dialogue between India and Australia could be a rise or a fall in the Quad partnership? It can never be a fall. No matter whatever China does, it can never be a fall. It will only lead to a rise. Don't you think so? That is why I gave a question like that in the thumbnail of, or let's say the poster of this class. Now, what were the highlights, guys, of the 2021 summit of Quad relations? Quad vaccine partnership. They agreed to ensure equitable and access to all the vaccines to counter the pandemic. Next was they want to have a plan to pool the financial resources with regard to strengthening of the logistics sector, to strengthen the industry or the manufacturing capacity, because funding is required. And thus, Japan, the USA, and Australia will finance the vaccine initiative that our country India has welcomed. So you see, India is getting so much of support from across other countries. And that's the next important thing you need to understand, that we are in the right track. Next, and all the Quad countries, the kind of initiative taken by a country India that was accepted. The Vaccine Maitri initiative. From the prelims perspective also, this is important. Please make a note of it. So the Vaccine Maitri initiative was again appreciated. And now why is this a big success? Is because other countries, especially the Quad members, being the superpower nations who are already with us, they supported. That is, though you are talented, though you brought something, when nobody is agreeing, when nobody is supporting, or when there's not a proper exposure, No matter you have so much of talent and knowledge, you're still like a frog in the well. So India is smart. If they bring something, they know that that has to have a wide reach. So now these quad countries, the remaining quad countries, US, Japan, Australia will do the needful. And yes, they did that. And now today India's vaccine method is even appreciated by them and accepted by them. And India got the name that we are the sole country to do that. So we are even creating a mark there. Very diplomatically, our name has been put out there for the vaccine perspective or for the vaccine revolutions. Clear? Did you understand? And thus the so-called Vaccine Maitri initiative. Let me tell you, an initiative exclusively launched by India and getting a lot of support from the other Quad members to give COVID-19 vaccines to all the neighboring countries has become a huge hit, and that has actually positioned the countries India's place in the global level with huge respect and huge lots of love among all the other neighboring countries. That's something to be understood, except China. Okay, China I will not say because they are the one who triggered all this. Clear? Yes, Wolfish, what is it? This is going to help us fight Pak and China even 4x better way. Very true. That is, I will put it as China and Pakistan, because Pakistan, even tomorrow, they have no support from China. Automatically, they'll come to, be in friendly ties with India. It's because they are triggered like that from the China. You know what? They have become like that. So once China backstab them also, they will understand the reality. They'll automatically come with India again. But we got to be careful, because when a cat falls in the hot water once, they'll be very careful, because next time they're not stupid enough to go and fall in the hot water again, because they know they get hurted. So we'll make a point that we are not entering so closely into any ties with Pakistan, but just keeping them in par. That's it. This is again another stuff which we will keep in mind. Clear? Next is discussion on China. If you see the concerns regarding, what did China do? They did a cyber attack also. Pata nahi kya hai wo, kitna attack they do, yaar. And the latest one, the biological attack, is something that is the worst, because even their economy is getting affected because of that. They also never knew such kind of stuffs will happen. So now the concerns with regard to the Chinese cyber attack on the USA target, that is Microsoft Exchange and SolarWinds, and the cybersecurity incident which happened in our country, it is phishing and other incidents and other all those stuff. So all these things were discussed between India, Japan, and Australia, guys. Clear? And the line of actual control, that was also discussed as one of the several examples of Chinese aggression. And so many issues with regard to Hong Kong, Xinjiang, Taiwan Strait, and coercion of Australia, harassment around the Senkaku Island for Japan. All these things were discussed in the Quad Summit, because they have to strengthen their ties, and their single target is China. This is what China is doing. That is the thing. And now, what is the stand of a country, India, in this Quad, guys? It is said that this Quad is not a joke. It is not like any other framework like a Commonwealth or ASEAN or let's say any other partnership. This is united after so many years. Since 2007, we are doing it. But in the year 2020, 2021, only it became practically applicable. So now this is united or brought by India, US, Japan, Australia by the democratic values. And yes, compared to any other association or framework, this quadrilateral framework will remain as an important pillar of stability in the Indo-Pacific region, which is much needed to go against China. And they call this meet as an extension of the ancient Indian philosophy. They even made a referral to that, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Okay, because that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is nothing but it regards the world as one family. So yes, India, US, Japan, Australia is under the notion of the ancient Indian philosophy, that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Clear? And that is the idea of India again. You see, India is trying to bring all the ancient things here. Now, connect this to the economic survey of our country, India, the latest economic survey. The previous one, what happened? It was again from where? Arthashastra. Chanakya ka Arthashastra, they took inspirations from that also. So we are making a kind of reference to all the ancient philosophies and stuff. And India is very smart for that, because we take lessons from there. What people said those days was not a joke. They may not be having PhD degrees like us title, or let's say so and so degree, but they were far better in the thought process than us. That is why all these concepts are useful in today's world or scenario. Did you understand? This is what India said, and this has strengthened this. Clear? Oh, sorry, Surendra. Kautilya is Arthashastra. Exactly. Sorry for that mistake. Yeah. And the Chanakya mantra. The Chanakya mantra has been used by a country, India, while planning out all these international correlations. That's very important. And now, what is the stand of stand of the country Australia with regard to the Quad framework? So if India had such kind of stand and such kind of notion with regard to Australia said such kind of Quad framework. Okay, it's not a joke. It is something to be cherished. And Australia said this Quad grouping could be the start of a new permanent, again they too said that, permanent and powerful regional grouping of all the like-minded or same democracies for the same cause, and that is again China to go against it, and also for strengthening themselves from various perspective. What about USA, guys? Come on. Now this is used as an opportunity. They said that Quad is an opportunity to cooperate among these countries on economics, technology, climate, and security. And this is not the NATO. It is not a military alliance, or let's say the North Atlantic Treaty Organization equivalent. Something different from them. Something over and above the stuff. So the core agenda of Quad, according to US, was focusing on maritime security, humanitarian, and also disaster response. This is more important. Clear? So compared to the NATO, where already US, India, Japan, and all is a part of it. Compared to that, this is even much higher. Clear? Or let's say much important. What about Japan, guys? Come on. The Japanese stand on Quad in the meeting was that they were very sure that they acknowledge the new dynamism that this Quad has received because the meeting of the top leaders of member countries, and they were very particular that they will definitely give all the cooperation that is required for the Quad members to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific, and to make sure that they have a tangible contribution to the so-called objectives of peace, stability, and prosperity of the region, including the COVID-19 pandemic, how to overcome them. So this is a stand taken by Japan as a whole. Clear? But having understood all this, don't you think so? As I told you, everything has a lighter and a darker side. So does the Quad relations also. So now India, Australia, they came with the first 2+2 ministerial dialogue. But I told you the reasons why it has been brought in. It's not a one-day matter. So many years relationship and also the Quad relations has made these countries to come out with that exclusively for one particular reason or purpose. Okay. Now, what are the issues or challenges? What are the issues? If you see, the divergence in all the geographical areas of maritime. I repeat, the divergence that you can see in the geographic areas of maritime priority among the Japan, US, India, Australia, four nations. They are considered to be the biggest weakness of Quad. Though Quad has so much of unity, positivity, advantage and all, we're talking about the divergence, guys. Come on, the priority that they give for the maritime, that the maritime security is very important. That is the biggest weakness. Now, sometimes, kapi there could be difference of India, Japan, US, and Australia with regard to this, maritime priority, guys. Because when there is a difference between these four countries in terms of their military capability, which country is the best? Is it US or India, Japan, Australia, whatever? And also the strategic culture and the capacity to bear the cost of potential Chinese retaliation are generally wide. Who will bear it? See, at the end of the day, they'll go to US because US is a superpower nation. So now India does not have that financial resource. That is why India is depending on or relying on them. So now that can create an issue. You understand? And thus a direct countering of Beijing, that is China's Beijing ka win-win belt and road initiative, exposing the economic political risk that is also to be understood. And thus I can tell you from a very strategic perspective, the prime intent of this Quad, India, Japan, US, and Australia relation is to deter the go against the Chinese aggression and further change the status quo. So these are the big challenges they face. Clear? Once again, their unity should not be threatened, and that cannot be threatened this time. It is very sure. In spite of these challenges, also, our country India is very smart. You know what are we saying? India is reluctant to advance the strategic rules-based order because they have learned lessons, or we have learned lessons, not they. We have learned lessons, guys, from the Doklam conflict and also South China Sea. So we are very smart that Japan, US, and Australia will also stand along with India and the Quad, and we will unite it at any cost. So we are very sure about it. So thus, it is said that once a change has been triggered, I repeat, once a change has been triggered, the outcome cannot be reversed. You have gone for a change. Again, you cannot change the outcome without an outright war. If at all you want to change, then the reverse, there should be outright war. That cannot be done. So there is a toll that no Quad nation, be it India, be it Japan, be it Australia, be it US, they are currently prepared to bear. So they will not, think about breaking the Quad relations, or let's say they will not even think of having 0.1% disunity among them. Did you understand? So this is what you should study with regard to the India Australia 2+2 ministerial dialogue and also the so-called real agenda in the Quad partnership of members, because India Australia is a part of it. So that's all, my young officers. We are done for the day. I hope you really enjoyed this session. So thank you so much. So don't forget to like the video, to put your valuable feedbacks in the comment box, and I'll see you all. I'll see you all at 6 p.m. today for the UPSC level MCQs, guys, in the Unacademy free special live class with, and use the code Nisha IAS Live to watch the same. So now you tell me, the so-called strategy, the ministerial dialogue of India-Australia, it has taken you in the various dimensions. Taken. Is this the rise or fall of Quad partnership? What do you feel now? I have told you every single thing, starting from the background data, the ministerial partnership, the focus, the highlights, and also the Quad. The reason why I brought Quad is you should know what exactly India Australia is doing through the so-called 2+2 ministerial dialogue. People will think that though Japan and US is there, though India has relationship with them, previously with Australia it was just a secretary level dialogue or framework, but then they brought it to ministerial level. And now, will this affect the Quad partnership? No way, because China every now and then they're kind of focusing or projecting that they want to be the superpower, and they're doing all these kind of stuffs out there. So now you tell me, will this be the rise or fall of Quad partnership? It will be the rise only. It can never be the fall of Quad partnership, even in a 0.1%, for the fact that currently overcoming the pandemic and the security of all these Quad members is very, very important. That is why I brought a different notion and different perspective, and I've brought the topic under this umbrella. I don't think any other current affairs class you would have studied this India-Australia 2+2 ministerial dialogue in this perspective. Definitely, people would have taught you this dialogue, the highlights and focus. That's it. That is focusing on Indo-Pacific region, what you should do, what is that. Or they would have even told you what is Quad. But the history of Quad, starting from 2007 and the gimmicks and politics played out there, and why now 2021 the summit has held in, and what are the other perspectives, keeping in mind the so-called ministerial dialogue which India Australia took now. So this is something to be understood in this perspective. So this is actually 2 to 3 topics combined, guys, which can go for 3 to 4 hours lectures. But in a short span of 1.5 hour, I've been able, not even 1.5 hour, I think it's just 11:30 we started, na? Yeah, near about 2 hours, whatever. We'll be able to cover the entire thing just like that. So did you all enjoy this Sunday special live series on this international relations hit list topic? So it's time to express your viewpoints in the comment box as well. So yes, how was this topic, guys, compared to other topics? You enjoyed? Good. So thank you so much, guys. I'll see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow in the YouTube for the same 6 a.m. YouTube live class. So when the clock strikes 6 a.m., come for the current topics in news tomorrow morning, guys. No doubt in that. Another interesting topic will be there. Okay, to welcome you for the day. And today at 6 p.m., come in the Unacademy free special live class for the UPSC level MCQ marathon MCQ series. Clear? With the 360-degree coverage. Yes, Surendran, respected madam, we enjoy the energetic session. Thank you for that, and the others as well. I hope you benefited out of this, and your notion regarding IR has changed, or international relations has changed. It is such an interesting subject and topic, believe me. You really need to study it like this to understand that it adds a lot of benefit into your knowledge as well. Yes, Wolfish, what is it? We are indirectly doing what is leaving the China behind and rising with the work from a developing to an upcoming developed country. Okay. Even with the factor of being second largest population. Yeah, that is true. That is true actually. Yes, crazy. Soham, ma'am, you got 2M. Yes, of course, I know this is you. You put your name Soham itself. Don't put such kind of crazy kizzy and all. Put your name. See, your identity is the biggest appreciation that you get anywhere. You can never see me with any sort of different names in any of my social networking platforms. It's Nisha Nujumudeen. I don't even keep Nish or Kish or whatever it is, or some other like Papa's girl, Mama's girl. I don't understand. People keep doing that on Instagram. What is your identity? Go with that. That's the way people know you. So go with your identity. That's the best thing that you can do. Never hide your identity for any reason. Till you die, that is the history that has been created behind you. So you have to project yourself the way you are, and don't play with your identity at any time. That's not a nice thing for a strong individual. This is so and so, this is so and so. My name is Nisha, but have you ever seen me opening a class saying, hi, hello, this is Nisha? No, I don't do that. I say, hi, hello, everyone, this is Nisha Nujumudeen. I'm very particular in putting out my full identity. Okay, that is where you stand out, So your identity is identity. There is no doubt in that. Anyways. So chalo, so we have got answers for the India-Australia 2+2 ministerial dialogue, whether it is the rise or fall in Quad partnership, and I hope you really enjoyed the session. So thank you so much, my young officers. I'll see you all at 6 p.m. for the free class, and tomorrow morning 6 a.m. start your day with the current topics and news regular series. Till then, bye-bye. Thank you. Take care and Jai Hind.